Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks. Today I've got sort of a special request here. You can see we're playing on Supreme Straits, but the submitter of this replay specifically asked for a bit of a critique, and it kind of got me thinking. I wondered if there was any interest at all from you guys. That's right, you right there behind your screen. I'm pointing at you through my camera that isn't turned on. If you are interested in that sort of thing, if doing critiques of individual people's builds, their gameplay, their strategy, if that's something that people are interested in, I'd be more than happy to do it. I've kind of thought about that in the past, but I had no idea if it was ever viable, and no one's ever asked me before until this game. Now, if you're the person who submitted this, I will note that you didn't tell me who you were in your message here. You know, I think I might piece it together based on the contents of this game from your description, but I know it's probably someone on the blue team, and I know it's probably one of these players up on front here. But let me pull up the email and just double check that I'm not like missing anything. Yeah. But anyways, that aside. What I would really appreciate, whoever you are that clicked on this video, I would really appreciate your comment down below, letting me know how you feel about critiques and that sort of thing. I want to preface that by saying that I am not really an expert on bar. I just have a ability to retain information at a ridiculous rate, so I was able to memorize virtually every unit in the game over the course of like 2 days. Just because I really wanted to commentate it. So don't mistake that for competency in the game. I'm still nowhere near as good as some of the players on this game. Players like in the northeast corner, Fatal Baguette, who you can see 38 true skill, the chevrons to match, and spawning in the C lane position. Very, very, very difficult spot. Can't wait to see what they get up to. Or spawning in the southwest spot here, we have Kalendori, going up against Fatal Baguette, so it should be a really, really interesting matchup in that sense. You like that little segue, by the way? Anyway, so let me know down below how you feel about critiques. I guess what I'll do to try and satiate the request of the wonderful viewer who submitted this game is I'll be a little bit more nitpicky about the blue build orders here and just hope that I hit you. But otherwise, yeah, this is just going to be a regular cast, and I'll just get more into details of individual actions here, and I'll try to take a more up close and personal look, and you know, let me know how you feel about that. Right away, losing your resbot is a huge blunder. Ooh, but not killing the resbot is an even bigger blunder. Lord James let that resbot get away with a couple health. Huge mistake. These early resbots can get tremendous value out. Now, it is good that we are still eating up the metal on the front lines here. At the very least, we pushed that resbot back, so it's not going to. But still, yeah, that early pick on that resbot could have been huge. You never know what that resbot is going to be capable of, especially if we see vehicles come out. Now, we don't see vehicles from the blue team. That's one thing that I would definitely recommend on Supreme Straits is going for a vehicle lab. At least one of the players up here. Ooh, some tick aggression coming out here by Ego. That's very nicely done. I think that if you're an Armada commander and you're going for a bot lab, you should basically always build 3 ticks no matter what. Send them across the field. It is incredibly rare that you won't get some sort of nice value out of a couple of ticks that you send across the field. 3 ticks I think is a good number, but you could certainly send more. You could certainly send 1 if you're confident, but it's easy to lose 1 tick. Fatal Baguette in quite a lot of trouble here, needs to move the commander into deeper water. Oh, whoa. Okay, well, we lost the commander already. That's unfortunate. Sky has also airlifted a commander over here. That's one way to claim this island over here. I would also say that a hovercraft isn't a bad idea, or an air constructor. Neither bad ideas. Just make sure you get an anti-air turret and a laser turret up to counter anyone else trying to do the same thing. But sending a commander is certainly another option, especially if you're in the backline position. And you're starting with the air lab anyway. You might as well. On the front lines, the defense is a little bit far back for the blue team. I would like to see it a little bit further forward. The defensive line on Supreme Straits is quite odd. It's like this. This is well, it's a little towards the red side, but you get the idea. It's kind of at a slant here. That's how this map is actually designed. So if you're the blue player, for instance, Ego here, this is 4.3 metal, which is basically an entire early game economy. So you desperately need this metal extractor point Don't be afraid of single laser turrets. You can degun those with your commander. You just hit the D key, D as in dog, and it pulls up this little radial dial thing that you can aim with, and you can degun these laser turrets down with ease. Especially considering now the commander doesn't take the increased damage from those. So what I do like about this is that we're pushing forward with the laser turrets to deny the metal extractors over here, which again is very, very important. Well, it's kind of blocked off by the scrap there, but it is 4.3 metal right there. So really, really important to keep that metal denied wherever we can. I like the aggression coming out here. Lord James capitalizing on that huge metal advantage from the middle to build a ton of Rocketeers. Very nicely done. If you're going to go for Rocketeers, you're going to go for Maces, you're going to go for Thugs, you're going to go for Aggravators, any of those more expensive bots. Oh, we're a little off on the comm bomb, but I think we get it. Both commanders going down right there. Wow. That is a quick start. And this commander going down as well as the two right here, if we don't see this contested, if this metal falls to the red team, the blue team's going to be in quite a lot of trouble, and likewise for the red team. So this metal is absolutely game-changing, and we need to see this addressed here. It's also a huge shame that these aren't captured, these metal extractors. Our purple player is going to be in a huge metal sink. Yep, they already are. 7 metal per second, when realistically they should be up to... Ooh, math in a video, it's never a good idea. 7, counting on my fingers here, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Let's call it 16 because these are 0.3s. 16 metal per second, almost double. Well, yeah, a little bit more than double what they actually have here. We need a resbot out on the field. We are starting one up, but we don't have the metal to actually produce it right now, and we're trying to build a construction turret. We need to stop the construction turret. We need to get right into the resbot. This takes top priority, absolutely. Ego would also be wise to build in this direction, start building the defensive line to cover the teammate here who is already falling. It looks like we were using the Wait, I'm confused. Are the Rocketeers being told to... It looks like the Rocketeers are being told to attack the the debris there. Meanwhile, they're being absolutely ravaged by a bunch of pawns that are running around over here. This needs an answer, and it needs an answer fairly quickly. Ego is basically the only answer there is, at least right now. Building defensive lines again, but way too far backwards. We want to push on this. Make sure that those metal extractor points are well locked down with light laser turrets, especially early on in the game. You can see these bad boys eating up 115 metal per second between the two of them. We can't even spend that much metal right here, but we certainly can send that back to the team, and they're going to be all the happier to have it. You can see everyone's metal kind of creeping up here. Really nicely done. Same for Kalendori, who actually sent a resurrection sub to eat up that commander as well. So the red team has captured, that would be a cool 3,750 metal right at the start of this match. Now, if you've seen the, you should just, what did I call it? Just watch this game, trust me, or something like that. Just should have just came out a little while ago, a couple days ago. You'll know that is not the end of the world. It's certainly playable to come back from that. But you have to sweat. You have to sweat like there is no tomorrow. I'm talking full sweatbands, full wristbands. I'm talking the ankle weights from the 80s. I'm talking you gotta get a visor. You gotta wear everything that you got. You gotta sweat your heart out. Efficiency is key. And unfortunately, not having metal extractors for the better part of your early engagement is certainly not very efficient. Advanced solar panels are pretty efficient, so I do like to see that. Somebody's been studying up here. I have a feeling that the person who suggested this is Ego. That's why I keep fixating on them. Excuse me. Had to clear my throat there, sorry. I have a feeling that Ego was the person who submitted this replay, so that's why I keep fixing on them, but it very well could have been any of these players right here in the start of the match. Yeah, I'm really not sure. Maybe it was someone back here, I don't know. Hovnokuk, the sort of seafoam player back here, is definitely looking like they might be new to the game. This many energy storages apparently is a common thing to do in other games, like, was it Total Annihilation, Planetary Annihilation, something like that. It's certainly unnecessary and beyond all reason. There's no reason to build that many energy storages. 1, maybe 2 is valid, but 3, I don't think I've ever actually built one. Built 3 metal storages in a game. Not on purpose, anyway. Maybe I've done it on accident. Miscue a bunch of energy converters or something. So one interesting trick is when a metal extractor is self-destructed, it does a huge radius of damage all around in a big circle, way bigger than when it just normally explodes. So if you see a bunch of pawns that are pushing towards a metal extractor of yours, feel free to self-destruct it at any point. Well, not at any point, but when those units are getting closer, and you're gonna take out a lot more with that mech's explosion than the regular damage from those pawns just rushing in and shooting it down. Really impressed with Cascade here, who has managed to carve out a bit of a navy. We do have just dolphins for now, which are, of course, vulnerable to submarines. But it looks like there has been an attack over here on Damo. So we are confident on the submarines. We just need to get a resurrection submarine out and about so that we can actually go eat up some of the metal that we left on the field over there. Now, the front lines are collapsing rather quickly here. Nautical in quite a lot of trouble. We do have some pawns to jump on top of all this. Never an efficient trade, though, to put those pawns up against a bunch of maces, especially maces and thugs and aggravators and grunts and pawns. Every T1 unit under the sun. Really, the efficiency is just the fact that this is a tremendous army going up against a much less tremendous one. Something drastic is going to have to be done here. We're going to need some really, really impressive plays here. We're going for that T2 constructor, but we kind of need to abandon it. Yeah, your players are caving here. We already have hounds out from Ripsy. Ripsy has got some hounds out at 11 minutes. Not bad. I think we just solidly teched up for the entirety of this. We do have some energy here, some advanced solar panels, so that's quite nice. In situations like this, one thing to remember is if you have those solar panels from the early game and a player gets destroyed, it's always going to be really helpful to them if you hand them over a couple of wind turbines. They just can jump that step, and it saves them an extra 2 minutes of building up slowly over time. Now, these hounds are just walking into the range of fire for all these units here. A little bit mismicroed. Advanced geothermal goes up, which does, in its death explosion, take out quite a few of these units. We're trying to go after the lab here, but I don't think we have enough, at least not compared to these hounds who are going to blast all these units down relatively quickly. Hounds are tremendously powerful, especially against T1. They're not afraid to show you their strength. And you can see those T1 units melt away. Now, there's still a huge T1 army that we have to deal with. Green needs to get these units into shape immediately. That hound was wagging his tail there. Yeah, these units need to stem the flow coming in here. They need to move towards the front. Realistically, these fiends could mop up the entire back row. These hounds can mop up the back row. All we need to really worry about is making sure that nothing else pushes forward. I would have loved to see these resbots here from Lord James moving in to eat up all of this metal, especially since we were trying to take down the lab. One really easy way to get a huge advantage is to eat up the labs of opponents that you kill. Mauser is out on the front lines, and we all know exactly how devastating these bad boys can be. Those plasma blasts that they launch are no joke. They're like miniature rattlesnakes. That's how powerful they are. At this point, Calendoria is looking downright unstoppable. I mean, that being said, it is just a lot of dolphins. But there are some submarines coming in here too, so that is quite nice. We do have submarines out and about. Looks like we're going for a little bit of a sneaky beaky one over here. Tons and tons of dolphins coming out from us as well, and I would love to see a battleship or two, a destroyer rather, or two mixed in here, because those can definitely be a viable option against the dolphins. The dolphins are much faster, but the battleships can shoot from much further, so as long as you kite properly and you have the dolphins anyway, one or two destroyers is going to do an excellent job of making sure that you're making sure that you're keeping that efficiency high, which again, like I said earlier, is going to be really, really key here. We've got T2 tech up and running here. We've got a fusion reactor, we've got an energy converter. We're leaking a whole bunch of energy, but the team is probably using it, so that's fine. Wow, we are hard teching in the back line here. Oh, Georgie. Ah, Georgie. Ah, Georgie. Maybe it's like, well, I don't know. It's Australian, so who knows. But anyway, we have completely committed to tech here. We're going straight up to an advanced fusion reactor off of one fusion. Rather, we're going to an advanced fusion reactor off of one fusion reactor, a regular fusion reactor, and we only have regular energy converters, oddly enough. We're not going to a advanced one? No? Okay, interesting. This island has been a huge benefit. I'd love to see the commander evacuated, or use the commander in some kind of push. That's also viable. Land it on the beach and just start capturing these. Turn that metal against your opponent here. We are streaming out dolphins at a considerable pace here. We actually can't even spend all the metal that we're producing. So these dolphins are doing a good job. We're starting up more build power, that's always lovely. And you can see the front line is slowly getting patched back together. Ego still remains the base that could, the player that could. Yeah, the front line was mostly turtled up, although I think this is really poor turtling. We really should have seen it turtled like this. That way we get these really valuable metal extractors under control. I mean, ideally even like that, so that we get the the metal extractors here. But c'est la vie, and you know, you can only do so much. This one bull tank getting tremendous value out, just unlimited free shots here. Unfortunate to see for the blue player. The hounds are finally firing back, but they do not do much damage to those bulls. Those bulls are extremely tanky. The bull is happy to return fire here, sending shells back. The beamer turret working hard, trying to melt through that thick bull armor, and eventually it will. The bull goes down. Resurrecting is going to be really powerful here. I'd love to see a T1 bot lab up and running. Getting these T2 metal extractors is also really important, but getting them on these important metal, the high value metal spots is going to be way better. I mean, think about it in terms like this. This gives you 9.2 metal, which is, this already gives you half of that, right? So you get 4, 8, 12, 16 metal from, give or take, closer to, I guess it'd be 17 metal out of one spot here with one advanced metal extractor. Definitely well worth it to push forward on the front line. We do see more hounds coming out here. Big naval battle. We can see these dolphins showing off their stuff here, going against these assault frigates. Yeah, the assault frigates do a ton of damage against those dolphins, and you can see they're almost fast enough to outrun them, but not quite, and the dolphins do stay in range. Eventually, these dolphins, it's not a great trade, but eventually they will take down the assault frigates. That, coupled with a whole bunch of submarines who are launching their little torpedoes out there. Submarine Dolphin is kind of an interesting composition. It is like the counter and the counter going against each other. The dolphins are extremely fast, so they can outrun the submarines, but the submarines can't be touched by the dolphins. So, kind of a weird yin and yang there. Now we're gonna have to transition all the way into submarine production. Although destroyers wouldn't be bad either, as long as you can keep them alive. And there's tons of metal out here on the seafloor. So getting a resurrection sub out there and eating all that up, turning it into destroyers would be really, really powerful. It's going to make your navy that much stronger. Just like this, we can see the destroyers being worked in here, and we actually see a tech transition. We're already on T2 ships here. We have the T2 land-based economy. You can see we got that advanced geothermal plant up here, and we also have the T2 constructor building some energy converters. We've got a huge wind farm over here. We've got the T2 metal extractors, and so it looks like Fatal Baguette is doing an excellent job of getting a proper T2 navy up and running. These Paladin are an excellent ship to pump out first and foremost when you're first building your navy. Really, really good stuff. They have a depth charge launcher, they have lasers, they have that long-range plasma cannon. They're just an all-around splendid unit to work with, and they will destroy this unit composition in a heartbeat. You do need quite a lot of them. They're not especially tanky, but certainly if you make, 5 or 6 of them, and then you throw in a dreadnought here and there, you throw in a serpent or a couple barracuda, you're going to be in a really, really good spot. I would love to see an anti-nuke ship thrown in as well. More so to protect Ego here on the front line than anything. Most of the core production of blue and green here are safe, but you never know. This is also a huge economy center for the blue player. That's producing 1,250 energy per second, which is absolutely huge, and it's really the only thing that's allowing this shipyard to continue pumping out paladins at a pace like this. Now this is an imposing navy for sure. Tons and tons of depth charge launchers on this navy, so that commander is not safe whatsoever. It is going to have to evacuate quickly. A construction ship actually managed to sneak through over here. That's a bit odd. We do have submarines going to hunt it down, but I don't think they'll find it, actually. Interesting. Meanwhile, a bunch of aggression on this side, as we see a ton of dolphins pushing forward and wrecking the base here of Damo. Well, there is a bunch of these static defenses. The torpedo launchers are really strong. And they tear down the rest of those, submarines here. A couple of death cavalry do survive the assault. They need to resurrect, or they need to repair, or they need to reclaim here. Resurrection it is, although it's not very many of them. Demo looks like he's thinking about retiring to land. Abandoning the sea to the red player. the tan player for the red team, I should say, who also has this advanced geothermal plant. Super important. I always forget to build this, and that is a huge turnaround there. I hear bombers. We do. We have seaplanes. Very, very nice. We're going to need to see some anti-airships built here, and we have them queued up. Lovely. Yeah, you basically need that anti-air. Whoa, a little spider just landed on my desk. That's the second time I've ever had that happen. Well, on a cast anyway. It actually happens pretty frequently. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, anti-airships. These anti-airships, you kind of jump from the really pathetic anti-air of T1 to the super OP anti-air of T2. It's kind of a startling jump, but it's certainly a necessary one because these seaplane gunships as well as the T2 aircraft are just super, super strong. I don't know why we're flying our fighters over this, though. That is just a death machine. Carving away at that fighter wall here. Now that we have the anti-air out, though, it's going to be much harder to push this attack pack because they know to include the anti-air, right? So Fatal Baguette's not going to make that mistake twice. And there's still a plethora, rather, of paladins moving forward, which is really, really cool. Kalendari is... their time is limited. the dolphins are only going to work for so long. We are eating up this wreckage field, which is absolutely critical. Submarines getting some value here, too. Showing us that they can be worthwhile. Ooh, a bunch of those gunships were grouped up there. All taking damage at the same time. That really hurts. We have the fighters moving in to protect the gunships, but it's just anti-airships, so there's not really anything you can do. Suddenly the commander is in the middle of this entire ball here. If the commander self-destructed, it might have been able to kill all this, but the commander just goes down. Leaving a valuable wreck and not much else sitting in that pool. Now the paladins are moving towards the base, mopping up these little dolphin sprouts coming out here and there. And suddenly Kalendari finds themselves in a quite a pickle, quite a predicament here. What do you do in this position? Well, you have a couple options. One is to retreat to land, but there's no land-based constructors anymore. The commander was our last hope of that, so we're going to need to see some sort of give here from one of the other players. Your other option is to, well, you can try and continue fighting the sea. You can try and hide in this corner. We've seen that done before. Or you can try and go air, but you've already got 2 air players, so that one doesn't really, not super applicable. Again, we're moving the fighters in here. Fighters, T1 gunships, all that stuff's going to go down super easily to those T2 anti-aircraft. How is this still alive? Somehow the seaplane the seaplane platform is completely untouched here. Kalendari says, "I got nothing," and he's not wrong. There's very little left for them. That was a great push from Fatal Baguette. Getting just the right unit out just in time here. We do see some sharpshooters moving forward. Very slow, but very powerful. Once they hit the field, if they're deployed correctly, they can be a driving force for a victory here. Most of this entire front line here goes down to a single shot. Only thing that doesn't, I think, is this rattlesnake, these pit bulls, and the commander. And we have some gunships moving over on the left-hand side. These are torpedo bombers, though, so I'm not sure exactly what value they're going to be able to get. Sure, I guess taking out some of these urchins is going to be quite nice. Yeah, offshore torpedo launcher. Why not? We have the bombers. We might as well use them. Yeah, torpedo bombers can be a little bit slow on the draw, if you know what I mean. A little bit crooked off Wednesday, you know what I'm saying? A little bit off kilter to the right, you know what I mean? Sometimes they like to drop their bombs over land, and they want to cosplay as a regular bomber, but they just don't have it in them. Total annihilation is what we're thinking over here. We've got nukes, and more nukes. So far, 1 is charged. We are starting up a second nuclear launcher, and there are some targets. We could absolutely squeeze one off right here. Plant it right in the back line, and I think, yeah, that would probably kill those advanced fusion reactors. If not, it would kill everything else, so it'd still be worth it. Are there any other vulnerable targets? Well, the front line, of course. We do have an anti-nuke coming up, but for now, the front line is completely vulnerable. You could plop one right in the middle there, and it would just wipe away everything here. I think that would be an excellent option here. Sometimes people get a little greedy with the nukes and they try their very best to hold them for the perfect moment. Sometimes, I gotta tell you, that perfect moment doesn't come. You wait the entire game, you play the whole time, and you never end up getting to fire that nuke at the eco in the back because you snuck an EMP bot through or something. So, you know, consider making sacrifices and just nuking decent targets, nuking okay targets, right? It's Supreme Straits. Everyone is going to have anti-nuke by now. There's we've all seen the Nuke Rush videos. Nobody is going to be surprised by a nuke, especially 24 minutes into the game. So, you know, take whatever targets you can get, is all I'm saying. Now we have some bulls trying to push forward. The shield actually doing tremendous work. Really, really nicely placed to ensure that these units have a really hard time breaking through here. Eventually the shield does go down. Commander gets a beautiful D-gun. 2 beautiful D-guns to wipe away those bulls. That was phenomenal. That was really, really nicely done. Ah, we have the seaplane bombers, the Cortex seaplane bombers, the Dam Busters. Oh, I love those. They just got this they got this feeling to them that are absolutely beautiful. Oh, we're riding in the water. Drawing with our units. We're certainly playing with our food. And, Mama never told you not to do that, but she definitely told me. Mammoths stepping forward here, receiving the punishment for it. That's kind of what they're built for, though. They're built to just keep on walking, no matter what you throw at them. Where are those sharpshooters at? Those are a great solution to this problem here. We do have one over here. It looks like it has been shooting, so that's quite nice. Yeah, bringing down mammoths is certainly one of the specialties of the sharpshooter, I would say. Oh, interesting. We decided to nuke the naval player over here. It's not the target I expected, but it's certainly a decent one. It can be valuable. It means that there's not going to be any sort of any more naval units here, so I guess if you wanted to go for ducks or maybe a platypus or something like that, you could still potentially do it. Do we have an amphibious lab planned? We do. We have the amphibious gantry. I love to see that. Fatal Baguette bringing out the best of Supreme Straits. I would expect no less. Another nuke is launched here. I think we're going for the front line. Oh, wait, where are we going? We aren't going... Oh, we found it. We found the... well, we were close to finding the gap in the defenses. We almost planted in the back line. Unfortunately, we put it a little bit forward here. If we had snuck it in back here, I think it would have been tremendous for the back line, for the economy rather, of the blue team. This game is still behind for the blue team, I would say, but not terribly. Ripsy said we need to deal with this. The Navy. Yeah, losing your sea is really, really tough. It's very difficult to handle. Someone said the Tremor had an alternate fire? I don't see it. Maybe it's not in this version of the game. Rattlesnake getting some free shots on Azar. No reason to turn those down. I can take the boats with torpedo bombs. That's always an option. Certainly. These are just dolphins and submarines, and they are very prone to torpedo bombing. Nuclear missile is launched again. Where are we aiming these? I really hope we're putting this down on the back line here. We did a beautiful scout with those blinks there. Ooh, we do get it. Wow, that was epic. Oh, that was the perfect nuke. Just slipped it outside of the anti-nuke field, just barely. Proper scouting, man. It can lead to some real damage. That was absolutely beautiful. Well done, Havnokuk. Havnokuk? I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that, so pardon me, but you've done phenomenally to put that nuke down back there. That was really, really splendid. Absolutely beautiful. You've ruined the economy of the light pink player here. Frustrating, to say the least, but infuriating, and to no doubt. We do have this capital ship here, firing all of its guns. There's a commander moving towards it. Is the commander going to get the D-gun? Ooh, the commander almost got it. Very lucky that the capital ship moved. I don't know if we had radar there. Maybe we had radar. Either way, that was tremendously effective. Somebody's pinging like crazy. Ah, we've got some Marauder headed out. Oh, there's a lone scout that was left on the ground over here, so we have perfect vision of this entire area. That's quite nice. Yeah, so we see the Marauders heading out, and it's going to be really, really nice. Oh, we're trying to nuke them. Well, not quite. We almost got the geothermal battery, which would have been quite nice. Our naval player has just transitioned all the way into Marauders, which is a pretty good option. That's kind of what I expect to be coming out of this gantry, although we don't see anything yet. We have anti-air ships moving out first. I suppose that's not a bad idea. Although their air player is the one that just got nuked into oblivion, so... Ah, we have torpedo gunships that were built over here. Okay, that's an interesting but effective counter against all of these units here. We're going to start clearing out these dolphins, these submarines, everything here, with a whole bunch of random stuff. We have anti-air hovercraft as well to help out. The fighters are moving in, so those anti-air hovercraft are going to be absolutely key. These are just T1 fighters, so the anti-air hovercraft are going to be really, really good. Another nuke coming in here. Ah, they keep hitting the mountain. Yep, those mountains, man. It'd be really dangerous. There go the anti-air hovercraft, shooting down a couple of those planes. Making sure to be as much of a nuisance as possible. The front lines are stagnating, but we do have this siege happening on this this shore here. Ah, there we go. We see the Marauder production coming out. You sort of have to jump between Marauders, which are the cheapest T3, and Titans, which are the most expensive, at least for Armada anyway. So it's kind of a difficult choice to make. Ooh, getting some beautiful shots off with the capital ship, though, sieging this base. If we can take out the build power here, and I think we will, yeah, this base is suddenly going to fall under siege really quickly. It doesn't take too long to break one of these advanced fusion reactors, and they're a big target, so it's not hard to hit them either. Yeah, we can hit this entire side here. Do we have vision of this? How do we know about this? Looks like there was just a scout long time ago. Yeah, suddenly this base is in a whole lot of trouble. Are we gonna get it? Ooh, I don't know. Bunch of cataphracts moving around this side. The capital ship takes aim here. That's kind of interesting. I wonder why we switched targets. We were so close to destroying this this facility here. Maybe, well, I suppose Blue has no way of knowing that, so. Then again, people don't tend to... Sorry about that, I just forgot that you can hear every time I take a drink. Unprofessional of me, I know. This is just, this is becoming a long one here, and I'm waiting to see the outcome. Nuke landing up here, that's quite nice. Cataphracts are an interesting solution here. They're good against most of those T1 units. They're decent against a lot of the T2 units. But they have that tremendously long cooldown time, so they can be really difficult to use effectively. They also tend to fire at air, so if you just put a bunch of scouts above them, they're going to waste all their shots, and you can just move in with whatever ships you'd like. Marauders have hit the field here, and Marauders are dangerous, especially if they pop up in your backline. These ones are in just as awful a position as they could be here. Awful for the red team, I mean. They're beautiful for the blue. Interestingly, we've got a perfect mirror here. You can see the Marauders moving in on this side, and we can see the Marauders moving... Whoops! We can see the Marauders moving in on this side as well. So it's a perfect match. It's just a matter of whose Marauders are going to win the day first. These Marauders have to fight through quite a lot more defense, though. So I think I give it to blue here. Well, a bit more defense. EMP bombers, though, they can definitely change the tide of things. Meanwhile, Blue's Marauders have gone uncontested into the backline here. There is a Razorback. Always lovely to see those come out. This Razorback is headed in a different direction, though. Yep, split up the Marauders. That's a really good idea here. Start fanning him out. Gonna be in a really nice spot. Ooh, the economy does go up. That's quite nice. We're gonna go for the advanced fusion reactor. That's the right move. Can we get it? I'd love to see it. Boom goes the base. And that is our light pink player eliminated from the game just as well. They actually tap out. One by one, the backline has been harassed to death. And there is nothing left. Now the blue production facility out here on the water has been shut down, but it will be easy enough to rebuild with the combat engineers here who can build those construction turrets. So eventually that will come back online. Meanwhile, the Marauder push on the left-hand side of the map has been completely held. Really nicely done. Cataphract desperately running for its life, but there's no power for its weapon anymore. Its home base has been absolutely ravaged. That is a lot of Marauders. They need to concentrate on the right area, though. There's tons of bulwarks coming up as well, which are really, well, are they really good against Marauders? I guess they're pretty good against Marauders. They've got that heavy laser, which is nice. The particle beam or whatever, the blue one, is a little bit less dependable. The nuke just barely missed. The best part about this, though, is definitely that shield, which is deflecting a lot of these shots and sort of turning them into null fire. And the gunships paired with the EMP bombers make for a compelling reason to invest in air early on. Those gunships are also pretty good at taking out these mammoths. That's an excellent use for them. You can see these mammoths melting away. Those riot cannons are very strong. Missile ships working on the coast over here, trying to hit a rover that is just set on a patrol path. We've got a ship battling some artillery over here. Yeah, I would have liked to see this finish up at the attack on the orange player here, but it looks like, for the most part, things are still revolving around T1 spam and gunships. Monsoons, what a cool name. Torpedo gunships out to mop up the rest of these dolphins. Some fighters do try to come in here. The Mercury or the Screamers, one of the two. The long-range anti-air will shoot them down real quickly. Not a serious threat. These fighters are going to be much more successful, though. These are the T2 Highwinds. They are very strong. I've explained this in the dedicated video to seaplanes, but if you are if you're talking about seaplanes, they're sort of a Tech 1.5. They fall right between Tech 1 and Tech 2. Nuke went down on this island over here. Well, kind of. we sort of missed a little bit, but we definitely tried. Marauder production is back up and running. The red team is not scaling effectively, though. I mean, their backline has been essentially completely wiped out, and yeah, they're not growing the economies at nearly the same rate that the blue team is. You see that we're continuing production in the backline, although I would have liked to see a few more advanced fusion reactors before we go into T3 production. This is looking good. We're starting up the second advanced fusion. Well, actually, we're finishing up the second advanced fusion reactor. Would love to see these T1 fusion reactors eaten up on the front line. I like the shield bubble placement. I think we could start creeping these forward. Maybe we could get a pulsar up and running to snipe a lot of these units over here. Another super effective unit, or well, structure rather, is the EMP missile. Since we already have an Armada transition headed out here, make a T2 constructor and get a couple EMP missiles. You'll find that if you paralyze this entire front line, it becomes extremely easy for T1 units to break down these defenses as if they weren't even there. One way to get extreme effect out here. Submarine from the early game finds some effect out in the sea here. Just firing away. This is going to be a gold star submarine by the end of this match here. Keeping these construction towers busy as well. Ooh. Is he going to get it? Well, he tried his very hardest. Was not enough. A Titan is underwater here. I don't know why we're not using that. That could be tremendously useful. If we could break any of these front lines here, we're going to start hitting the back, which is going to be really, really nice. I think we just need more and more and more, though. These mammoths, they can't really help the water seed. Shiva are going to be great. Juggernauts are always great. That's kind of a given. Now, props to Sky for not tapping out of the game. Still rebuilding in the backline here. Trying their very best to claw themselves back into the game. Same for the blue team, though, who has not lost a single player, despite their front line getting absolutely ravaged. A couple advanced fusion reactors and a regular fusion reactor, all plop down here, right on the metal spot, as you can see. Hardly need metal at this point, though. It's mostly just converted into, or metal is mostly just from converted energy anyway. Sumo's out on the front line. I think that's a great idea. I would love to see some Arbiters as well. Arbiters are sort of the Cortex siege bot. That's how you break these front lines here. Scuttles are also another option. Trying to think what else. Spy bots, definitely want to include two or three of those. One for paralysis and then a couple for vision. We do actually have a spy bot out here, so that's really nice. So yeah, just get some Arbiters, and this wall of defenses fades away into non-existence. Capital Ship trying its best to contribute as well, but they don't really do as much damage as people seem to think they do. They're not really that great. Yeah, I said it. Not a huge fan of Capital Ships. I don't think they're, ultimately I don't think they're as good as everyone makes them out to be. Especially not the Epoch. The Black Hydra, maybe. Those laser weapons are pretty devastating, but certainly the Epoch only ever is firing half of its guns at most times, so kinda have a disparaging feelings towards it. Anyway, this one's looking pretty scuffed up at the moment, so it's going to retreat for a little bit of a repair. I'm not sure why we wouldn't just put this thing right next to all these construction turrets that are idle. You got the build power, you might as well use it. We are ecoing like crazy in the backline, though. By we, I mean Fatal Baguette. Oh, I guess that's not true. Ripsy is also ecoing like a madman. Feeding as much energy as we need into those energy converters. Silver Hornet is ecoing, but we're doing it with regular fusion reactors, which is slightly inefficient. You could 1.3x your production here by converting all these into advanced fusion reactors, give or take. That's some napkin math, so don't do the calculations and put it in the comments because it's probably not entirely correct. What are these called? Ducks. I almost said dolphins. Well, these are dolphins. The Dolphins are up against the Ducks. Sounds like a football game. Or a hockey game, rather. But yeah, the Ducks are trying to do their best, but those torpedo bombers shut them down pretty quickly. A little bit of a something happening over here. We've got some bombers trying to push forward. We've got tons of fighters to escort. But the fighter screen from Cascade is looking monumental. This is the player that was pushed out of the water, mind you, so they've got a grudge against air. I'm gonna speed things up here. FPS took a little hit. That's fine. Just speed things up as quick as we can here. The T1 spam coming out. Always an indicator of a unconfident player here. Going for that T1 spam is not usually as effective as choosing a better T2 composition here. Fewer T2 units counters many T1 units, so I mean, you can see these mammoths are absolutely carving through this pawn spam. It's getting very little effect, and if you notice your spam is not getting effect, you really should turn it off because it is just a huge money waster. Now that is quite nice. We've taken out one of the anti-nukes. There's still another one right here, and we've definitely seen it, so we know not to nuke until that one's down as well. But certainly with one of those down, this is looking quite a bit more vulnerable here. Trying to fire on the Shiva with the Pulsar, that's quite nice. The Shiva or the Mammoth, either one is a pretty good target, honestly. We've got another contingent of bombers heading out here. More of those dam busters, the Cortex seaplane bomber. I don't see any endgame conditions, though. Like this is a game ender right here. You start building those T3 units in mass, and flood them through. Titan taking a lot of fire here. Actually down to 86% just from these ambassador missiles. This can reach really far. Yeah, tremendous fire range on those. Meanwhile, we do have another block of Marauders ready to roll. Marauders are kind of like Transformers in my mind. but we can see these T1 spam are kind of clogging up everything. How much metal per second are we dealing with here? Roughly speaking, oh, there's no way that that's 7 metal per second. It's got to be about 80 metal per second or so. This is definitely using a lot. Oh, because it's not just the labs, it's everything else too. So it'd be all of these, all of these as well, and then the labs. Okay, there we go. 143 metal per second. Yeah, that's more like it. Whoa, torpedo bombers getting tons of hits. Well, not really. Most of them actually drop their bombs on land or on the mountain there. But enough of these marauders make it through that they could definitely be dangerous. Once they get on land, there's not really anything these torpedo bombers can do, that's for sure. Targeting down the anti-nuke, that's quite nice. We could nuke the sea platforms again. But friendly marauders will come out to eventually shut this down, as well as those EP bombers. Always very nice. The T1 spam is reaching the front lines, which means that these Shiva are going to start friendly firing, which is never good. The Shiva are notoriously bad at keeping their fire to themselves. They friendly fire like crazy. So many capital ships, so many Titans. We are going to start marching them, thank goodness. A lot of people get locked into these late game scenarios and they don't really know what they're doing to end it. Here's a good option. You go for the Ragnarok, although we need a lot more build power here. Here's a good option. You go for a lot of T3 units, the most expensive units you can buy. The nukes are also a decent option, although those are more of a mid-game use case. But overall, I think these Titans are probably my favorite. Titans and capital ships. What a potent combo, all right? Those flagships just bombarding away. You can see the hail of fire slipping through now. Oh, that's getting dangerously close to those energy converters here. Uh-oh. Fire is starting to breach. Ooh, the energy converters do light up. Fusion reactors go up as well. We're 1 or 2 shots away from this advanced fusion reactor rather, from being absolutely demolished. Shield generators are going down as well. Everything is falling to the Titans. Oh, Commander is uncloaked for a second here. They will recloak again, but the advanced fusion reactors go up, and that is really all we needed to take out the orange player. Fette von Speck eliminated by the Titans that push forward into their base. All these plasma shots are firing right over all this sensitive stuff. There we go. I was going to say, when are we going to shut all that down? T1 labs getting blasted apart. Just a few shots. These Titans are so powerful. Whoa, a nuke went down right here, and you can see it wiped away a lot of the blue army. There's still plenty to flood in from behind, though. Capital ships swinging over to try and cover that, and I quite like that. We have Cascade and Fatal Baguette doing the same thing, but Fatal Baguette just did it sooner, and that's going to mean that they ultimately take the victory here. As now Cascade's entire production base goes up in smoke. Well, actually not the entire production base. About half of his production base goes up in smoke. The T3 production base, anyway. There's actually another one over here. Okay, I need to think before I speak some more. But regardless, it is enough damage that the red team caves and the blue team snatches victory from what looked like a really dire situation in the front. What an epic comeback. I really love these matches. I think Supreme Strait brings us just the absolute most bangerest of matches, and I enjoyed watching this one. And to you, my beautiful viewers, and specifically that one viewer who submitted this, I hope this was satisfactory. I hope this was helpful to you. And again, I would really encourage all of you to think about the format of critiquing and looking at an individual player's perspective on a match, and let me know what you think about that down below. Leave me any helpful comments you can think of, any helpful tips. I'm always happy to hear from you guys down there. I do read all those comments, although I've been getting a little overwhelmed just because of how much love you guys have been putting into those and how many people there are. But rest assured that I am taking a look at those all the time. Really appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next video.